Happy Halloween! What's going on, everyone? My name is Eric, and you're watching the Get Me Out of Here vlog. This is really bright. I'm going to turn on some lights here. That is so much better. A little more light, a little less spooky, but happy Halloween, everyone. This Halloween is my favorite holiday of the year. Absolutely love the spirit of Halloween. I love ghost stories. I love the horror genre, and just dressing up and everything about Halloween is just so much fun. So happy Halloween! I've got my new age Mickey D's trick or treat buckets. I actually ended up finding all three. We got the pumpkin, the witch, and McBoo here as well. Just I grew up with these things in the early 90s, so seeing McDonald's do this again, it tugged at my heartstrings a bit. I gave in. I had to go to McDonald's and get some Happy Meals for these. Went with the chicken McNuggets, if you were curious. But anyway, happy Halloween. I've been saying that a lot tonight. What I wanted to do was just post a quick video of 3 of what I consider to be the scariest places that I have ever visited in my life so far here on Earth. And as you know, if you're familiar with my channel, I love traveling across the United States. I love roadside attractions. I love haunted places. I love theme parks, historical locations, you name it. So anything Americana in dealing with history, I absolutely love. And visiting haunted places is one of my all-time favorite things to do. I do believe in ghosts, and I'll share a couple stories with you here on this video. And I've also got some of the most compelling ghost evidence that I have ever seen in my life that has never debuted before. And I'll be debuting that here towards the end of this video. So let's dive right into this. So for me personally, I've had a few what I would consider ghost encounters, things that I can't explain. And that has to do with my top 3 most haunted, creepiest places list that I've ever visited. So let's just dive right into this. So I would consider the third scariest place that I have ever been to in the United States is the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis, Missouri. Now, the Lemp Mansion has a very dark history. The Lemp family in the late 1800s and into the early 1900s were a very wealthy brewery family. Lemp beer rivaled Budweiser at the turn of the 20th century. However, numerous family members throughout like a 30 to 40 year period committed suicide in the mansion. In fact, I think the last brother or 2 brothers committed suicide after the Lemp business went belly up, went bankrupt during Prohibition in the 1920s when alcohol was rendered illegal here in the United States. But yeah, the father and I think 2 sons and a daughter all killed themselves over a span of like 30 years, maybe a little more than that, within this creepy Gothic mansion that still stands in St. Louis. In fact, you can stay there. It's a bed and breakfast. You can tour the place. And it's also a restaurant, and they have a small bar. So you can actually eat in the very rooms that some of these family members killed themselves in. So it's got a very dark past, and it feels when you walk inside the mansion, it feels like it's like you're in the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. It's like straight out of that. It's very gothic. It's dark. It's creepy inside. There's portraits of the family hanging on the walls, and all kinds of just that's one of the creepiest places I've ever been to, with the dark history and also just being able to explore the place on your own. I did wander up into the attic. I didn't see or hear anything in the Lemp Mansion during my time there, but I did walk through a couple cold spots that I couldn't explain. Maybe it was air conditioning. I don't know. I couldn't explain it. It was in the middle of the hallway, and one of them was walking up the stairs. So that, for me, is the third scariest place I've ever been to. I haven't filmed a video there yet. That's on my to-do list. I can't wait to get back out to St. Louis. Would love to film an overnight stay and investigation at the Lemp Mansion. So the Lemp Mansion is my number 3. Number 2 scariest place that I have ever been to is the Villisca axe murder house in Villisca, Iowa. Now, this is another horrific story. It's still an unsolved crime to this day, but in 1912, there was a farm family that lived in Villisca, and the family went to a late-night church service and came home and were found the next day murdered, the entire family murdered with an axe. So apparently the perpetrator hid in the attic, and as the kids and parents went to sleep, came out of the attic and murdered the entire family with an axe. And it's an unsolved mystery to this day. There was a trial. The murder knocked the Titanic off the headlines of newspapers at the time in 1912, because this happened right after the Titanic sinking. It's a very dark, unsolved murder mystery that it still remains unsolved to this day. So I've actually been to the house. I was there 10 years ago in 2012 during the 100th anniversary of the murders, and did a full house tour. I can't remember the tour guide's name. I think his name is John, but he actually was in a couple episodes of Ghost Adventures, and I think he has his own paranormal show now too as well. But basically, he did a tour. We did a tour with him in the house, and then he let us just walk around, free reins, walking around the entire house. When we were there, there's this closet in the kids' room, and I can't explain this. It's a very flimsy closet door, so maybe there's a draft that does this because it's an old farmhouse. But this closet door will open and shut by itself, and what's creepy about it is you can ask questions, and obviously yes or no questions, because that's we like to dumb it down for ghosts. But you ask like yes or no questions, and the door sometimes would open up almost all the way for like a yes, and then creak shut. And I witnessed this with my own eyes. It was super weird, super bizarre. Maybe again it was just our imagination with the timing of the door opening and closing, and it was probably just a draft or something in this old farmhouse. Hard to say, but Villisca Axe Murder House is the second scariest place I have ever been to in my life. I haven't filmed a video there either. I have some pictures from my visit in 2012, but I'm planning a visit there hopefully sometime in the next year or so to do a full investigation of the house. I don't know if I'll get a chance to actually spend the night there, but who knows? I'll be open to it. So that's number 2. Number 1, the scariest place that I have ever been to so far in my life is the Whaley House in San Diego, California. The Whaley House is where I've had my most personal and realistic experience when it comes to paranormal encounters. I was there 10 years ago as well, in 2012. And what was so weird is the Whaley House is located in Old Town San Diego. In San Diego, California is beautiful. I was there at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It was sunny out. Everything was gorgeous. Super comfortable environment. And the minute I stepped through the front doors, everything changed. It was so cold in that house. It was almost like walking through like a portal or something. And I just felt like paranoid. I felt like I was being watched. My hands got all like clammy and sweaty. And I felt like I was on the brink of having like a panic attack, or like just my nerves were through the roof. And part of me was like, well, maybe, I've seen ghost shows and paranormal shows that showcase the Whaley House. So part of me was like, maybe I'm just acting paranoid. So I went on and did the tour, and after like 30 minutes being on the tour, nothing happened, and my nerves, gradually calmed down. And after the tour was over, they let us explore on our own for a while. So the Whaley House, it was built in the 1850s, and a sheriff lived there with his family at the time. So they actually had a courtroom attached to the house where they would have trials, and they would try criminals. And there was a tree in the backyard there where they would actually hang criminals found guilty. So why in the world would you want to build a house and live there on a property where you're hanging people and killing people? I have no idea. But they would actually hang people in the yard. And so that was insane. Anyway, I was in the courtroom by myself, holding my iPhone at the time, just like this, taking pictures, and I heard like creaking, like chairs scraping across the wood floor, and creaking like people getting up and out of the seats. In the courtroom, they had wooden benches in there and all that, but nothing was moving. It was just this weird sound, and then from the corner of the room, a woman whispered at me. I heard whispering like it was a muffled conversation, and then all of a sudden this voice went, "Sue," like Sue, right at me. And it didn't come from a vent. They had some old vents in the ceiling for air conditioning or whatever. Modern day, but they had some vents there. But it came purely from the corner of the room, almost like head level. But it literally was like a girl was standing in the corner of the room whispering at me, and it was clear as day. And it didn't freak me out per se, but it was one of those moments where all of a sudden, like, the hairs did stand up on the back of my neck, but it was one of those moments where it was just like, whoa, like that just happened. And I cannot explain that, but it just like something whispered at me. A woman whispered at me, and there's nobody in the room. I was the only one in the room, the only one in the courtroom at the time. So I left the courtroom, walked briskly out of there. I was touring it with my dad at the time, so I told him what just happened. He kind of looked at me like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Let's go back in and let's see what's in here." So we go back into the courtroom, and it's just the two of us. It's quiet. There's no noises going on. And all of a sudden, my dad kind of gives me a weird look, and he kind of turns his head like he's listening to something. And I look at him, and I'm like, "What? What do you hear?" And he looks at me. He's like, "You didn't hear that?" No, I didn't hear anything. What did you hear? He's like, "I heard like creaking, like benches scraping and people getting out." I was like, "That is exactly what I heard just moments ago before the girl whispered at me." And we didn't hear any other voices or anything like that, but he was hearing something like chairs creaking, and I didn't hear it that time. So very, very weird. We went up and down, and we put our weight on the wood benches in the room just to see if they creaked, and they didn't make a sound. They didn't creak. You could put your weight and lean on them. They didn't make any creaking noises. So I, to this day, cannot explain what happened at the Whaley House in San Diego. But to this day, that is the biggest paranormal encounter that I have ever had personally in my life. I've never seen anything, but I've heard an apparition. I've heard a disembodied voice with my own ears. And that got me way more fascinated in the paranormal and wanting to experience something like that again, even though I'm terrified about this stuff. But I just want to see, does it exist? What's out there? It's curiosity. So those are my three scariest places that I have visited. There's a lot of other paranormal places that I've visited and done tours at, and there's so much more that I haven't, that I want to see. But for me, the three scariest places that I've seen in the United States, again, are the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis, the Villisca Axe Murder House in Villisca, Iowa, and the Whaley House in Old Town, San Diego, California. So that being said, I want to debut this video. Now, the backstory to this video that I believe is a ghost or an entity caught on a security camera at an Extended Stay America hotel in Fort Worth, Texas. And I've had this on my phone for years and haven't shared it on YouTube until tonight. So this is a debut. I'll let you believe what you want to believe. I think it's a ghost on camera. I don't know how anybody could fake this given the circumstances here. But you can believe in what you want, and I won't even explain exactly what I think I see in the video. I'll let you be the judge. But to give you a backstory here, I didn't see this with my own eyes. I was actually given this footage from a superintendent. So back in 2015, I was a project manager renovating Extended Stay America hotels. Extended Stay America is I don't want to use the word cheap, but it's an affordable hotel chain across the United States. I think there's a couple in Canada as well. But I was a project manager and a part of their renovation program for a number of years. In 2015, I did the exterior renovations. We painted the outside of the hotel. We stripped the old caulking out, put new caulking in, and painted the window frames and all that. I did that in the summer of 2015. And the hotel is located in Fort Worth, Texas. I'll put the address in the description below. It's located near a Target Supercenter in Fort Worth. But anyway, I was a project manager there in 2015 for the exterior renovation, and then a couple months later, there was another crew that came in to renovate the interior of the hotel and do an extensive renovation of all the rooms. I was not a part of the interior renovation at that particular hotel, but in the fall of 2015, I was working on another extended stay America. I think it was in Ohio, somewhere in the Midwest, and the crew I was working with there was they had also worked out at this Fort Worth, Texas hotel, the extended stay America in Fort Worth, Texas, and they told me about the ghost that they captured on the security camera there, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And they told me the whole backstory. So the story of what I'm about to show you is. During the renovation process, we would close off an entire half floor or entire floor of the hotel from guests, and the crews they'd go home overnight, and they'd come back the next morning, and their tools would be moved around, or things would be moved around in the rooms, not where they left them before, and this kept happening throughout. I want to say a 2-week or 3-week time period. So, the superintendent thought that some guest or somebody was sneaking up there in after hours and messing with their things, or maybe taking tools and things like that. So they asked the hotel office to check the security camera to see if they could find whoever was going upstairs and messing with their things. Well, this is what they found, and it's a 10-second, 15-second clip of what I think is a ghost caught on camera. You can see, I think it looks like an orb that floats across the stairwell and then walks out the exit door. And just to give you a perspective of what that view is on the security camera, those are the stairwells. You can see the exit sign above the door there. That's a stairwell. That door leads outside into the parking lot. The image on the left is the other stairwell on the opposite side of the hotel. But I think that is the best evidence I have ever seen of a poltergeist caught on camera. And that, again, the location here is an Extended Stay America hotel in Fort Worth, Texas. People die in hotels all the time. The manager at that hotel thought that they did have somebody that died of a heart attack a couple years prior to that in the hotel. So they thought maybe that was the ghost of that individual who had passed away. They also said that person walked with a limp, which is creepy because to me, on this ghost clip, it looks like the image or the figure, the spirit has like a limp when it walks out the door into the parking lot. So I'll let you believe what you want. Whatever you see, that's up to you. I think it's a ghost, and this is, in my opinion, the greatest footage that I have ever seen that was given to me by a superintendent that was renovating that hotel. So, yeah. So those are my ghost stories, and this is, again, the most convincing footage I have ever seen. I hope you enjoy it. Feel free to comment below on what your favorite scary places are, or the scariest place you've ever been, and feel free to leave a comment too on scary places I should visit next, because I have a whole lot of ideas planned. I recently moved to Phoenix, Arizona from Chicago, so there's a lot here in the Southwest United States that I can't wait to visit, and I am planning a 10-year anniversary trip to the Whaley House to see if I can face that that woman or entity that whispered at me that day 10 years ago. So anyway, happy Halloween, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.